Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today I actually wanted to do a whole video dedicated to sleep and how we manage sleep with a baby, how we handled it when Charlie was a newborn, and I figured I would finish off this video showing you guys our bedtime routine that Charlie now does every single night. We've been doing this since she was about 6 months old, and she sleeps through the night completely. She sleeps from like 6:30 or 7 p.m. until about 6:30 a.m. So a solid like 11 and a half to 12 hour sleep every single night, and it is amazing. So I'm gonna walk you guys through our bedtime routine at the end of this video, but I actually received specific questions on a video I did recently regarding sleep and how we navigated it in like the newborn phase. So I figured I could just do like a little sit down chit chat, share a little bit of that with you guys, and then finish off showing you Charlie's bedtime routine. So I will start out by saying that I had a lot of anxiety when I first had Charlie regarding sleep, and I still do a little bit now, but it's starting to get better for sure. But I just would always have anxiety that I would like wake up and find her, you know, no longer alive. So one product that I do highly recommend that actually has given me so much like peace of mind is actually the Owlet sock. And I have worked with Owlet before as well, but this is a product that I like genuinely believe in. 20 out of 10 recommend. It's just a little sock that they wear to bed, and it literally like monitors their heart and oxygen levels and all of that. And this thing like goes on your nightstand. This little thing is a light, and it actually flashes green whenever they are like breathing and healthy. That was actually something that I got when Charlie was more like 3 months old, and I started sleeping so much better once we had it, because if I like woke up in the middle of the night worried about her, I could just glance at the base station, see that it was green, and know that she was, you know, sleeping fine, that she was breathing, alive, all that good stuff. So it's something that I wish that I had actually like purchased sooner. So yeah, I definitely recommend that. That helped me so much with sleep anxiety. But to kind of backtrack a little bit, when we brought her home from the hospital, we actually had her bassinet downstairs in like the main living space, and my husband and I took shifts. So I think I would go to bed around like 7 or 8 p.m. I was also exclusively breastfeeding, especially right at the beginning. So I would do like a breastfeed. I would wake up around midnight, breastfeed her again, and then go right back to bed. And then Chris would basically be staying up with her that whole time. And then we would trade around like, I think like 3 a.m. I want to say. And then I would just stay up with her, and he would come upstairs and sleep. And the reason we kind of did that was because that way the person sleeping upstairs in our bed could sleep kind of undisturbed and not like, you know, hear the baby moving or crying or whatever. And the person in the other room would be responsible for like any night wakings and that type of thing. Although, you know, I was breastfeeding, so I was still kind of waking up. Once we started doing bottles though, we switched this even more so. So I would actually like a lot of times like wake up and pump or something, and then just go right back to bed. And then Chris would do a bottle. So that was kind of the flow. And so that way, you know, I was getting these little chunks of like 4 or 5 hours. And then Chris would also get a nice long stretch of sleep from like 3 a.m. to like 10 a.m. basically. So we actually did that for a long time. I think it was maybe around the 1 month mark. I personally was like really missing just like being in bed with my husband, and I was kind of struggling with some postpartum depression. So I knew that I wanted kind of that time like back in bed with him. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was just something I was like really missing from our relationship. So we actually stopped doing that, and we moved the bassinet upstairs. I actually had like a monitor on the bassinet, even though it was like right next to my bed, but it was just, I don't know, you know, that mom anxiety, it just helped with my anxiety having a monitor on her. So I had that on her, and it was kind of still the same thing. So one of us would kind of be more responsible for the night wakings during like each window, and then the other person, we would kind of switch. So that way if she stirred from that 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. window, Chris would get her, and then if she stirred more in the morning hours, then like I would default to getting her, and sometimes I would just like take her downstairs after that. But that was kind of how we did it for a long time. And then it got a little bit harder when Chris went back to work. So when he went back to work, I kind of took on the responsibility of like the night wakings, because, you know, I wanted him to be well rested for his job. And that was definitely a really hard time, because, you know, waking up frequently throughout the night and not having a ton of help was definitely challenging. And then it also would wake him up because she was in the bassinet in our room with us until between like 4 and 5 months, I think. So around 4.5 or so months was when we moved her to her nursery. And the primary reason for that was just I was starting to feel like she was more aware of her surroundings, and like any little noise I felt like woke her up. So like if one of us stirred in bed, I feel like we were constantly like is she gonna wake up? And it just got to this point where it was like, we have the dogs up here, like they're getting on and off the bed and stuff, and it got to a point where she was waking up frequently, I think from little noises and that type of thing. So we actually ended up moving her to her nursery where it was a little bit more quiet for her. And that also helped our like relationship too, I think, because that gave us a little bit more of our time back, of our nighttime routine. Moved her into her nursery around 4 or 5 months. And then at 6 months was when we actually did sleep training. And I know that that's like kind of taboo. A lot of moms don't really want to do sleep training, but I remember I had reached a breaking point. She was like going through a sleep regression, and she was waking up, I kid you not, once an hour, and I was losing my mind. I was absolutely losing my mind. I finally reached a point where I was like, something has to change. So we decided to do sleep training. We followed the Taking Care of Babies like program, and honestly changed my life. It was really hard for 4 or 5 days, but after that she literally just started sleeping like 12 hours a night, every single night, basically since 6 months old when we did the sleep training. So I highly recommend like looking into sleep training if you're struggling with sleep and not really sure what to do. It doesn't have to be like a true traditional cry it out. I am personally glad that we waited until about 6 months, because I feel like that was a good age for her to be able to do and learn some of the skills needed for the sleep training. But yeah, I personally am like so grateful that we decided to do that, and that's just, you know, what worked for us and our family. I know it's not right for everyone. But part of the sleep training is having a really established sleep routine, which is why I was gonna maybe share that with you guys today. I'll walk through her bedtime routine when we start it, but I will say like one, I think big part of having good nighttime sleep at this point in her age, starting at kind of that 6-month age, is making sure that she has adequate like daytime sleep so that she's not going to bed overtired. And then similarly to that is like having this last wake window. Right now she's only on 2 naps per day, so having this last wake window kind of be like the ideal amount of time. So I would say like look up whatever age your baby is, look up what like the ideal wake window time is. For her it's around like 3 to 3.5 hours. So I basically try to time like her waking up from this nap to be like 3 to 3.5 hours before her ideal bedtime, which is 7. So basically if I have her wake up between like 3 and 3:30, that is best case scenario for me. And with that, I try to make sure that last wake window is nice and active to make sure she's definitely like good and tired for bedtime. I make sure that she has a full belly. That's also an important thing. Adequate feeds throughout the day. She's also on solids now, so I think that also helps her have a full belly. Yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say for that. I'll get into a little bit more of some of the things that we do during bedtime routine and why we do them. I'll kind of talk through them as we do it and as we get ready. But yeah, that's kind of our story on sleep. I hope that those little tidbits help some moms out there. Just to reiterate, like it was very much about coming up with like a schedule and designating like who was kind of managing different shifts so that we weren't both like completely exhausted, so that way we were getting little chunks of sleep by like letting him do, you know, some night feeds and letting me sleep and vice versa. I think that really did help us really survive those newborn trenches. So that would be my like 2 cents if you're curious about how to navigate those first couple of months bringing baby home. Charlie is in the middle of her afternoon nap right now, so when she wakes up, hopefully closer to like 3:15 and basically an hour from now, I'll start her final wake window, and then we'll move on to bedtime routine. Charlie just woke up from her nap. It's exactly 3:30. Perfect timing. And we're gonna start our final wake window of the day. She's crying. Doing some fun activities to keep her nice and stimulated. So while we're finishing dinner, I usually get the bottle prepped and then come up and start the bath while kind of getting her, ooh, the sun is bright, while getting her cleaned up from all of the dinner messiness. And so I'll just do a bath real quick, usually only like 5 to 10 minutes of bath, and then dry her off, and we'll come in and do her whole little, we're gonna do a swaddle, we're gonna do PJs. I like to lube her up with Aquaphor diaper cream, also Aquaphor. I'll put on the sleep sock, and then we'll do like a bottle and reading some books, and that's basically it for her bedtime routine. So I'll show you guys that momentarily. It'll probably end up like voicing over because it moves a little quick and sometimes it's hard to stop and narrate. Alright, just set her down. I'm just in the other room, so I'm gonna whisper, but she usually kind of rolls around, complains a little bit for like 5 or so minutes. You can see she's not fully asleep yet. Actually, I'm gonna go to the other room, hang on. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for the bedtime routine. So like I kind of said, it's just like making sure that she has a full belly, has like a nice kind of wind down routine, which is why we do the bath and the sound machine and finish off with a couple of books, because I just think that those kind of help her unwind a little bit from all of the stimulation of the day. I usually start the bath around like 30 minutes prior to like wanting to put her down. So I started the bath at like 6:15 and it's now 6:50. So that's kind of like how much time I give myself to like get her to unwind. And if you think about it, like it takes me time to unwind too. If I've been like out doing something fun or whatever and I come back home, I'm not gonna like pass out like that, and it takes me a little bit of time to like kind of unwind. So I always think about that with her too. So anyways, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, let me know down in the comments, and as always, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. But Charlie and I are out.